What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we break down the biggest NFL stories before anyone else even has the chance to blink. And today, oh man, we've got absolute chaos unfolding out of Dallas, Texas, because apparently George Pickens has decided he's done with the Cowboys, and the way this news is exploding across social media is absolutely insane. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw this coming. We're talking about one of the most explosive young wide receivers in football, a guy who was supposed to be the next big star in a Dallas offense that has been desperate for consistency, and suddenly he's out. This isn't just a small roster move, folks. This is a shockwave. Fans are stunned, teammates are confused, and insiders are scrambling to piece together what went wrong behind the scenes. You could feel something brewing lately, the tension building after those sideline moments and the cryptic posts online, but even then, nobody thought it would come to this point. If you're a Cowboys fan, buckle up, because we're diving deep into what happened, why it happened, and what this means for the future of America's team. So let's rewind just a bit. George Pickens joined the Cowboys amid huge expectations. After showing flashes of brilliance in Pittsburgh, Dallas fans were ecstatic when the trade went through. The Cowboys needed a dynamic weapon opposite CeeDee Lamb, someone who could stretch the field, win those contested catches, and bring that fiery, competitive edge that could push this offense over the top. Pickens had that dog in him. Everyone knew it. He had highlight reel plays, that raw energy, and a swagger that Cowboys Nation eats up. The hype was real. Jerseys were selling, the training camp clips went viral, and even Dak Prescott himself said he couldn't wait to work with a receiver who plays angry. But as the weeks went by, something started to feel off. You could sense a disconnect between Pickens and the offensive system. Some games he'd go off for 100 yards and a touchdown, looking like the future superstar Dallas hoped for. But in others, he'd disappear completely from the game plan. He'd run his routes, get open, and just not see the ball. The frustration was visible, and as competitive as Pickens is, that kind of inconsistency can eat away at a player's mindset. The real breaking point, from what sources close to the team are whispering, came over the last few weeks. There were multiple incidents, nothing too explosive at first, but enough to raise eyebrows. Reports say Pickens started voicing his frustrations directly to coaches about his usage. He felt like he was being limited, like the offense wasn't letting him play his game. And to be fair, there's a pattern here we've seen before with Dallas wideouts. The team has always had that pecking order when it comes to touches. CeeDee Lamb is the unquestioned WR1, and then there's a rotation between guys like Brandon Cooks, tight ends like Jake Ferguson, and whoever else happens to be in the mix that week. Pickens, on the other hand, is not the type of player to quietly accept a smaller role. He's wired differently, like emotional, passionate, and wants the ball when it matters most. When that passion doesn't translate to opportunities, it can start to boil over. Now, what's wild about this story is that apparently the decision for Pickens to leave didn't come from a simple trade or cut. It's deeper than that. Some insiders are suggesting it was mutual. Both sides had reached a breaking point. Pickens wanted a bigger stage, or at least a system where his skills could shine, while the Cowboys' coaching staff reportedly grew tired of dealing with the sideline tension and behind-the-scenes frustrations. There were whispers of locker room arguments, subtle jabs on social media, and even one deleted post that said, "Can't fly if they keep cutting your wings." Fans caught it fast. Screenshots spread like wildfire, and everyone knew it was a message directed at someone in Dallas. That was the first clue that something wasn't right. Fast forward to today, and it's official. Pickens has left the Cowboys organization, and the fallout is unreal. Cowboys Nation is absolutely losing it. You go on X, formerly Twitter, and it's chaos. Some fans are furious with the team, saying Dallas once again mismanaged a young talent. Others are blaming Pickens, calling him immature, a diva, and saying he needs to learn to be a team player. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. Pickens is a competitor. He wants to win. He wants to be great. And sometimes that intensity can come across the wrong way when things aren't going well. At the same time, the Cowboys' offensive approach hasn't exactly been a paradise for wideouts who demand volume. Just look at how Amari Cooper's tenure ended. A great player, frustrated by targets and usage, eventually traded. Sound familiar? It's like Dallas never fully learns to balance their offensive stars' personalities with their system. And here's the craziest part. Apparently, this move caught even some Cowboys players off guard. There are reports that Dak Prescott found out only hours before the announcement broke. Teammates who had built chemistry with Pickens in practice were reportedly stunned. One anonymous player supposedly said, "We just started to figure things out." That's the kind of disruption that can ripple through a locker room. You build all offseason around a guy, work through the ups and downs, and then suddenly, poof, he's gone. It's like pulling a thread from a sweater. Everything starts to unravel just a little bit. You have to wonder how this impacts morale heading into the back half of the season. Now let's talk about what happens next, because this move raises 1,000 questions. Where does George Pickens go from here? He's too talented to stay unsigned or inactive for long. Teams are already monitoring the situation closely. If you're a receiver needy team, say the Chiefs, the Ravens, or even the 49ers, you're probably making some calls right now. Pickens might be a handful personality-wise, but his upside is undeniable. He's young, athletic, and hungry to prove himself. If he lands in a system that understands him and lets him play freely, watch out. He could turn this entire narrative around and make the Cowboys look like they just gave up on a star. On the other hand, Dallas now has to figure out how to fill the hole he leaves behind. The offense was already inconsistent, and losing that kind of physical presence on the outside is going to make defenses zero in on CeeDee Lamb even more. Unless Jerry Jones has a trick up his sleeve, it may be a surprise signing or a mid-season trade. This could seriously hurt their playoff push. What's really interesting, though? This situation feels like a reflection of the Cowboys' entire identity. Every few seasons, it's the same cycle: hype, talent, expectation, then drama, tension, and disappointment. Like, whether it's Ezekiel Elliott, Amari Cooper, Dez Bryant, or now George Pickens, there's always something. It's like the franchise can't escape that soap opera energy. Fans love the Cowboys because they're entertaining, but sometimes that entertainment comes at the expense of stability. Maybe it's the pressure of being America's team. Maybe it's the massive media spotlight. Or maybe it's just the culture that's developed under Jerry Jones's ownership. Whatever it is, it keeps leading to these explosive moments that dominate headlines. So, Cowboys Nation, how are we feeling? Betrayed? Shocked? Relieved? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this one's gonna spark a wildfire of opinions. And if you ask me, this isn't just about one player leaving, it's about identity. What kind of team are the Cowboys going to be moving forward? Are they the powerhouse that finally breaks through and silences the doubters? Or are they the same drama-filled team that can't hold it together when things get tough? Time will tell. But for now, one thing is clear. The George Pickens era in Dallas is over before it ever truly began, and that's something nobody expected when the season kicked off. Guys, the headlines will keep coming, the rumors will swirl, and we'll be here breaking it all down every step of the way. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and turn those notifications on, because trust me, this story isn't done yet. Not by a long shot. Stay tuned, because the next chapter in this saga is going to be wild.